Welcome, everyone, to the Room 250 podcast, where leaders of the industry help current and future graphic designers or any designers crush their creative goals one pixel at a time. I am El Peralta, aka Pete Peralta. I'm joined by my two best friends, Martin Edisoy Bautista and Mr. Sly, aka Sly. What's up, guys? Episode 2.
Episode 2. Woo!
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
Cheers. What you drinking over there, Pete?
I'm sticking to the Buffalo Trace. Yeah, I have some
whiskey,
some Basil Hayden downstairs, but I have a bunch of liquor right next to my desk, so it's just easier for me to reach. And then, of course, it's 110 degrees outside, so water.
Gotta have your water.
Water all the way. But okay, so on our last episode, we talked about how things were for the Art Institute for us. We learned some history from Martin. Thank you very much, Martin. And then today we are going to talk about our journeys after the Art Institute and eventually how we formed the dream team, the dynamic trio, the tripod that is known as the Room 250 podcast. So I will actually go second on this, and I will pass this over to David Sly.
Senor Sly.
Yeah. Okay. So I would like to start with
graduation day.
Graduation, but just before that, we touched base on having an internship, and I had two. So I had two of them I would just like to touch on,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For my internships, they were both unpaid. And
I have a question for you on that real quick. Not to cut you off. And we could come back to it, but do you believe that an internship should be paid? Or is it it's part of growing pains, or
could we ask it this way? Sly, do you believe that during the time you got the internship, you should have been paid? And what do you believe now?
Ooh,
he's like, yes, permit.
So there's three questions there. Do I believe that internships should be paid? Do I believe that I should have been paid while I was doing an internship? And how do I feel about it now?
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends on where you're interning, if you should be paid. As for when I was interning, I don't think I should have been paid. The amount of work that I was doing, I was more so just learning on the job experience. And as for when we had interns at the Tropicana, no, but depending on some of the projects, maybe. So it's just, are we making them do something from start to finish to print, all that sort of stuff? Then yeah, I think maybe there should be a little bit of payment in that because they're handling an entire, let's say, project.
I don't recall an intern ever handling something from start to finish, though. It was always more production stuff.
No, for sure. But I'm saying at Tropicana, if they would have done something from start to finish, that sort of thing, then I feel maybe we should have paid them. But that obviously never happened. We did the production side. We got them learning the basics, that sort of thing. Which is,
right.
Going back to what I was going to say about my internships, I was just kind of thrown in the deep end. They were like, okay, you need to get an internship now. And I started at first at a t-shirt printing company where they were like, okay, the programs. Here's what we have to do a 4-color offset printing, with each layer. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then they said, just do it. And they didn't want to teach me anything. I mean, this company was very small.
That's terrible.
There was only 3 people. Yeah, they were just
don't say the name, but yeah.
Yeah, there was only 3 people working in the company. I don't think it's around anymore. But, they were like...
Is it located in a shopping mall?
No.
Oh,
This was one that was located, near behind the Orleans.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, this was like an actual shop. And they did, big, large-scale, printing, but they basically said, okay, we want this, now set it up for 4-color printing, so separate each of the CMYK so we can put them on screens and print them. And I was like, okay. And I think I spent like 1 or 2 days trying to figure out how to do that before they were like, what's going on? And I remember talking to the guy who brought me on as an intern, and he's like, yeah, you just do this, 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 this. Okay, now I got to get back and like do some other thing. And I was like, okay.
That sounds terrible.
Like try and figure out like how to do it. Yeah, instead of like him sitting down, okay, this is what we got to do. Here's how you do this, this, and this. So that was my first experience.
Now, how close to graduation were you when you first got this internship?
Oh, that was like, I think I still had like maybe a year or a year and a half left.
So you were like junior, senior level or for school?
Yeah.
Or junior?
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
Okay.
And then the second one was a very short-lived one. I think this one was at Window Media, which was like a magazine company. And that one was a lot of fun. It's just when I got it, the person who brought me on as an intern, I think something happened and they either left or they got let go. So then I was kind of like stuck in a limbo.
The day that you started?
No, I would say like within the week I started.
Oh, I remember you telling me this story.
Yeah,
okay,
okay. And then they were just kind of like giving me these jobs, and this is where I picked up a lot of my like Photoshop. Like I sharpened a lot of my Photoshop skills, where we were doing like cutouts and like making magazine ads, and I was like cutting the stuff out for. I was doing the production, cutting it out for the designers so they could lay stuff out, and I was like really sharpening my skills on that, which was a lot of fun. But I didn't really have anybody to like report to, so those were my 2 experiences as an intern. But going forward, after graduation, I had already secured a job at a place called PDPed, which is a children's shoe company. And I had actually got this job, I think, through the career services at the Art Institute. Yeah, so they actually really helped me out. Did they ever help you guys out?
I applied for some stuff, and I think I won't see the individual's name. Actually, no, his name was Ryan. He tried, but I never got anything from there.
Yeah, I did.
That's why they closed that school down.
Yeah, I got from there.
Yeah, they ended up giving me a lot of leads. I mean, I also worked for them, so
he was insider. He was an insider.
Yeah,
unfair side. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to the shoe place. What'd you do there? Production artist. What was your title?
Production. Yeah, for sure. I don't remember exactly my title. I think it was graphic designer. Just plain graphic designer.
What was your starting salary?
I was doing a lot of.
Was it hourly or $30,000? Okay.
30
grand in 2012.
Yep.
Right.
In 2012. So I'm not sure what that equals out to now.
Okay. But, would you say that's a fair starting wage at that time frame?
Oh yeah, for me, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm making $30,000.
Nice.
But, my previous paying job was working at Subway, so
it's the difference.
I was like,
oh man, look, I'm still an artist.
I'm
a sandwich artist to graphic designer.
Actual artist, yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so
but it was great. I got a lot of experience. Met some really great friends there. But I was doing production stuff. I was doing photo retouches because they do a lot of online sale. So we were color correcting the shoes for from the shoots to the actual product, which was really cool. It was the first time I had ever seen a color calibration on a monitor. So they would come in and they would put something on the monitor and it would color calibrate it for the lighting in the room, so you could see like the actual colors that you're seeing from any of the lights that are around you are actually being projected on the screen.
Nice.
Yeah, that was really cool. And then that was actually another one of the first times that I got to go on like photo shoots and like help out and like set that up. So that was some really cool experience too.
Nice. Like what other responsibilities were you doing there?
So that, and then we would do like mailers, like e-blast mailers, and then like print magazine stuff. But a lot of it was like photo retouching and like setting up photo shoots. Towards the end of it, I was setting up my own photo shoots for our like magazines sort of stuff.
Like you were actually photographing stuff?
Yeah, so I would set it up, and then I would like get the camera set up. I didn't really know too much about lighting, and I would just set up a camera and then like do the photo shoot, and then come back to the office and then do all of my color corrections and lighting in like Adobe Photoshop or not After Effects.
Lightroom?
What's the other? Lightroom, yeah.
Gotcha. How
Yeah.
big was the creative team?
We had,
Like, who did you report to?
I reported to one guy above me, and then he had a boss.
Okay.
Who was, it was like when we were at Trop, it was us reporting to you and you reporting to Anna.
Mhm.
So that's like, for people who don't know, that's graphic designer reporting to, I think your title was
Creative
art
director.
creative director.
It was senior designer.
Senior
designer / art director, yeah.
And then that's going up to now the marketing director.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we were doing, and it was a lot of fun. You know, I learned a lot there, and I would say it was a good learning experience for me.
What was the one thing you hated while you were working there? Or maybe hate's a strong word, but something you disliked.
The leadership that I was under was
Okay.
a big problem for me. Yeah, I'm
Why
not
is
going to
that?
say any
No,
names.
don't say no names, but why?
You know, it goes back to not teaching me correctly. You know, I'm coming out of school, which is, you know, I should know what I'm doing, but I'm coming into a gig where, you know, I'm just coming out of school, so I'm going to know basic stuff, but I'm not going to know everything. So if you're going to teach me how to do the stuff that you want done, you know, that's specific to your job or to your company, not your job, to your company, like you do things a certain way, I need you to teach me that so I can follow the procedure, right? Like, it's just like learning a brand for, you know, a brand guideline for any of the brands that you might work on.
So you're talking about like the basic workflow of the company. They didn't teach you the basic workflow. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was like learning that on the fly, and then you know,
but
towards
also,
the
also
end,
like design stuff though, right? Did they
Yeah,
teach you like
exactly,
did you already
and
know
design
how did you already know how to do like color correction and retouch and all that stuff? Or were you just thrown into the fire and be like, hey, figure this shit out?
a little bit of both. So it was like, yeah, I knew it, and then they were like, okay, this is how we do it, and then I would like color correct it, and then I would send it off to my senior designer, and he would, you know, say, oh, this needs to be changed, or this and this, like there's some fuzz here that you didn't catch, because we were always like trying to make sure the shoes look immaculate, so when you look at them on screen, they're like the best they can look.
Right.
So I would send it off to him, and then he would send back, you know, any corrections, right? And then I would say towards the end, when I got let go from the company, he was no longer telling me the changes. He was doing the changes himself, but not letting me know that something needed to be changed.
Oh, that's terrible leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like, hey, you're doing something wrong,
yeah,
and I need you to fix it. It's, man, this guy keeps messing up. I'm just going to fix it right now. And then later on, I have to hear about it in a, you know, an HR meeting. And I'm like, well, this was never explained to me, you know, that I'm doing this and this wrong.
Ooh.
And eventually, you know, I did get let go.
How did you feel? How did you feel? Wait. You're missing the good stuff,
okay, yeah,
bro.
answer questions. That's
down and dirty.
You know,
how did that make you feel after you got let go?
Oh, my God.
Was that your first, like, legit job, design job?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You got let go, right?
Yeah, fool.
Yeah.
He just said it. He said this after graduation. This is
my
my first job.
I'm drinking. I'm a little buzzed.
Yeah.
Okay? Sorry if I missed something.
Dude, that hit my, like, if I didn't have imposter syndrome already, that hit my ego so hard. Like, I was like, I'm never going to work again. Obviously, they let me go from this company.
I'm doomed.
Yeah, I was like, I'm doomed.
That's the good stuff, Sly. All that stuff is delicious, bro. Keep talking about it.
Now I'm like,
no, that builds character.
Like, oh, who cares? Exactly. I'm like, who cares? They let me go. I can explain, you know, what happened. But when it happened, back then, I was like,
Of course.
nobody's going to want to hire me. They're going to see that I got let go from my company because of this reason, and they're going to be like, oh, I don't want to hire this person and not want to hear me out. So I definitely did get a little depressed after it, but my family, you know, my mom and my girlfriend at the time were really pushing me to like continue in on it. And my buddy Jeremy had an aunt who worked for a company called Apple One, which was like a temp agency. And they started placing me in like temp graphic design jobs, which kept me going.
Okay, quick question, real quick. Like
Okay.
backtrack. Now, the skill set that you're currently at now,
Mm-hmm.
how fast would you be able to crank out the work if you were to restart your career path, having the knowledge that you have right now? How fast would you crank out that work that you used to do that got you fired?
I'd be like 5 or 10 times quicker. Yeah, I'd be so much quicker now.
And you would catch
just
all the
because
little
I have
things.
the experience. Yeah.
Okay, so now being the creative director that you are, 10 plus years of experience, would you have fired you if that was happening?
No.
Okay.
I would not have fired me at that point, because I would be the one, and I do this currently where I'm at now, and like, if you're messing up, I'm like, hey, this is how you're messing up. I need you to do this, this, and this, and I'm going to keep watch on it for this amount of time, and I'm going to see, if you're picking up on it or if you aren't. And if you aren't picking up on it, okay, let's look at another, route, how you can do this the correct way. And then from there, I start taking the steps that I need to take.
Gotcha.
So, here's a question for you, Sly. If you have an employee who is struggling with trying to figure out how to do something, will you go and help them out and show them?
Oh yeah.
Good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if they're struggling, I constantly am telling my designers, the people underneath me, hey, if you need help with anything, let me know. Reach out to me. I have one-on-ones set up with my team. We don't really utilize them as much anymore because there's not really any problems, but if there's ever anything, I'm like, hey, just shoot me a message. Let's jump on a video call. Oh, you need to fix this?
Great leader right
That's
there.
dope,
Let's do
dude.
this. Let's
That's
do this.
awesome.
Let's do this.
We're very lucky to have you, bro.
Now,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Having that experience, whenever because I know you're a bit of a sneakerhead, whenever you go online and you look at sneakers, do you find yourself critiquing how they cut shit out, how they photographed it? Like
Sometimes.
Remembering how you used to do that stuff?
Yeah, sometimes I definitely do. I've gotten, sneakers that don't match what I ordered online. I'm like, oh, this looks so sick. And then the color's like just slightly off, but it's off enough where I'm like, I thought this was going to look a different way, and I put it on, and I'm like, this doesn't look
Question for you, Sly.
anything like I wanted.
When you feel that way about that shoe and you feel like the color's off, you got to remember that you're an expert and you have that eye. Do you tell somebody else who's not in our field, like, hey, can you look at this and look at the picture? Do you do that?
I don't think I understand your question.
Yeah, I don't get your question either. What's your question?
What do you mean?
Well, we as designers, we have a different perspective. So when we look at a picture, we could identify it, analyze it, and see the different colors, right? So then we see the product, we could right away catch that, hey, this color's off. So what I'm saying is it your expertise, because you're an expert in the field, that you could notice the color shift? Sorry. So I'm saying, do you ever show it to a regular person who's not a designer and tell them, hey, do you think this is off?
I don't think normies understand that.
Yeah.
I sometimes do that with Sonia, Sonia, my wife. I'll be like, hey, do you notice anything wrong with this?
Mm-hmm. That's like,
no, and I'm like, it's right here. It's right here. Do you see this? And then she's like, oh, I see it now.
Yeah. No, normies don't get that, man. It's this is our field, and we get fixated on something, and then you show the demographic, and they're like, what? Yeah. What are you talking about? Oh, that thing. Well, now that you pointed it out, I see what you mean.
If you're not analyzing creative when you're out in the wild, are you a designer though?
Yeah, I'm a brand whore. I gotta say, because Sonia's always like, you only like that because the way it looks. I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm a designer. Like, I like things that look nice.
Bro, do you guys get this from your wives? Or you start going into your designer mode and they're like, stop analyzing that poster. stop being a designer.
Can't
right
we
now.
just enjoy this right now, please? Yeah. Yeah.
I've learned to keep that to myself
Okay.
from previous relationships, and it's just the one thing I do say out loud though is I have that font. Hey, I know that
Yeah.
font. Then that's as far as it goes because they don't really care unless they're a designer themselves. They don't give two shits. But you know, if it's us three and we're at a movie theater and we see a poster like, oh shit, I wonder how they put this together and the layer files and you know the effects and all that other shit. But a normal person, they don't give two fucks. You know, so okay, so you get fired, you're all hurt, you're drinking at the bottom of a bottle.
You know. Who knows if I'm even old enough at that point? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
And then you.
Sorry about that.
even the lighting effect.
So slide dark mode.
So then you go to this temp agency.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I remembered something right before the temp agency. You know, I'm trying to find a job, and I'm applying to a bunch of places, and nothing is biting. You know, so to say, and I'm like, I just need a job. I just need something to like bring some money in because at this point I'm living on my own with my girlfriend and I need to pay bills. So I'm like, okay, there's a moving company to my two sons or something like that. That's hiring. And I'm like, I'll move furniture. I don't care. So I send my resume, my graphic design resume, because I have no other resume. And they're like, hey, you sent this design resume. We don't really think you'd be a good fit for this, but actually we do need some design work done. Could you do some design work for us? So I did get a little bit of freelance from that.
Nice.
So, awesome.
A little tip for everybody out there, it may not be
to Subway with your design resume and hey,
you'll become a sandwich artist.
You know what, Sly, though? I don't think that's good advice. I think that was the universe telling you like, stay on your path, don't do random shit.
Yeah, I mean, but I needed something. You know what I mean? I needed something, and I sent my resume. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is, even if it's a company that if you're just looking for a job and you just need something to pay the bills, send your design resume, even if it has, some other stuff on it, because maybe they might need some design work as well. But so I did that a little bit, and then that's when I went to the Apple One company because this was just freelance work. It wasn't really like a lot. It was bringing in a little bit of money. But that's when I got placed in temp agencies, and I was jumping around a lot, and I was learning a lot of like print stuff. I worked for GES, which is a
gaming company.
Convention.
Company.
Yeah, convention.
Events.
GES. Yeah, this is like events.
I'm thinking of AGS.
Yeah, no, not that.
Okay.
But
yeah.
So I did that, and then I went to their competitor as well. I went over to Freeman. So I did both of the big convention people. And they basically have the exact same like workflow, which was great.
So I've never worked for a temp agency. So how does that work? You just get allotted a certain amount of hours and then you just bounce around?
So they so I went in and I took a test, and it was like a design test. Like, I don't know, I can't remember exactly what was on it, but they, tested my design skills. And then they're like, okay, we'll give you a call back and we'll let you know what company you're going to go work for. And they were like, okay, you're going to go to GES. And I was like, okay. So I go to GES and, they set me up with a badge and everything. And they are just like, we have a lot of work right now, so we need you to do this, this, and this. So I think they trained me for like 3 days, and they set me up on the system. And at that point, I had already like had a good amount of experience. I picked up on it really quick, and I just worked there for as long as they needed me. There wasn't really like a time. It was just, okay, we need you now, and then I just work. Okay, we don't need you next week because our workload is slowing down. So then they would be like, okay. I would go back to the agency. I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. Can you find me another place? So while I'm working at both of those companies, I worked for one first and then I worked for another. I'm still applying for like jobs wherever I can. And then I have a friend hit me up who I used to go to the Art Institute with, and he's like, hey, I might have a gig. And I go and apply, And lo and behold, it was Arturo Pete Peralta who
Boom.
ended up, interviewing me and ultimately hiring me.
I said, so if you witness someone stealing something, would you say something? And then Sly said yes, and I said, "Oh, so you're a snitch?"
Wait, I changed my question. I changed my answer.
Just say
I
it.
steal
Just
it
say it. Awesome! Wow. So your design path was pretty short. It wasn't so
Yeah.
okay. So
there was a lot of little in jobs here and there.
Yeah. So from graduation to when you got to Tropicana, how many jobs, like design jobs or design companies or projects, did you actually knock out?
How many companies did I work for?
Yeah,
I worked for PDPed. I did the freelance for 2 Men in a Truck. I did GES. There was another small company, I can't remember the name of it, that I worked for a little bit. Then I worked for the Freeman, and then that's when you hired me on. So about 5.
So about a year after graduation, because it was about 2013, I think, when we started Trop. Because we were there for 3 years.
Yeah, we graduated in 2012.
Yeah. So about a year you were out of school, then you started Tropicana. Right?
No, it had to be a little bit longer than that.
It's a little longer. It was a year and a half.
Okay.
I would say a year and a half because it was a year at the company that PDPed that I worked at, the first job.
I see. Okay.
And then after that, that's when I was like bouncing around trying to just find anything to just get a job.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And in that meantime, were you trying to like just sharpen your skill set at home, like working on projects or learning new skill set or anything like that?
Yeah, I was picking up freelance. I had a bunch of freelance that was coming. Well, not a bunch, but I had a good amount of freelance that I was coming in. I was doing logos. I was doing,
But besides the freelance, like, right? Because the freelance was like every single week. Like, were you doing something between those projects to sharpen your skills more?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think I was doing anything like super extra. I think I was just learning everything that I can at the jobs while I was there. And then after that, trying to live my life a little bit, not focus so much on not having a job or being a temp agent.
Gotcha. Nice, man. Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually, short-lived.
Oh, and I was doing a lot of AIGA. That's probably also what I was doing.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, I was in AIGA basically from the middle of the Art Institute all the way until, let's say, like 5 or 6 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, so I was doing a lot of AIGA stuff.
Nice. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Yeah,
Jeez,
thank you.
I'm actually have to look at my LinkedIn because I'm trying to remember my full path here that I got to.
It's all here, man.
Tropicana. I know I remember mine, but I don't fully remember it. So now I do.
Pulling up LinkedIn.
Yeah. I remember I wrote this. So, Well, thanks for sharing that, Sly.
Of course, thank you.
Now,
thank you for letting me share.
Now, I'll go second here. So, to go back to the internship part, that is actually when I started to feel like, hey, maybe this might be a thing for me, because I applied to, I don't know, at least 10 places to get an internship and nothing, like zero callback, zero, response, nothing. And kids that were not as talented as me, in my perspective, were getting hired. And I'm like, how is this person working here and I can't freaking do anything? And then finally I got a internship at what used to be called Vegas Cool, as a radio station. And then just did a bunch of just like e-blast and logo design, and just it wasn't really a direction. It was just a guy who ran a radio station and just needed some graphics. So I pretty much just kind of slap things together, and he's like, "Yep, that looks cool," and got my hours done.
What were the jobs like you were doing?
Literally,
for radio station.
It was like flyers,
Oh, okay.
web banners. That was pretty much it. Flyers and web banners for like every little event that he was going to go to. That the guy's actually still around, but he's under a different name. He's a photographer. And so I was doing that, and then right before I got my first design job, my old roommate worked for a gun company, and he was like, "Hey, they're starting this new what's it called, like a new shooting range right by the strip, right behind Circus." And they're like,
Battlefield?
it's going battlefield, right? And like they need renderings of the buildings, they need renderings of the exterior, they need a mock-up logo, they need like basically modeling of the foreground of how everything's gonna look from the outside, from the street view. And he's like, I know you know graphic design. Is this something you want to do? And I'm like, I'm broke at the time, so I'm like, hell yeah, like this is gonna be freaking a shit ton of money. So I actually designed Battlefield Las Vegas. That was my first like big project, first big paying job. I was beyond happy. It's still around. I'm still cool with the ownership, and you know it had to be approved by the city and everything. So that to me right there catapulted me, and I was like, yes, I can do this. I know I can do this for a living. Like I just did an exterior building that's not really my thing, but I figured that shit out. I did that all in Illustrator and Photoshop. And then I was at school, and I remember going on Facebook, and I saw one of our friends, Aaron Wade, post a, hey, now he's our friend, but at the time I didn't know him. He goes, we have a designer who's going on vacation, and we need someone to fill in for him for about 2 weeks. And it had posted maybe 2 seconds before I logged into Facebook, and I shoot him a DM, and I'm like, hey, I'm interested. He goes, cool.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Because I messaged him as well, and you got it before I did.
Yeah. Like literally 2 minutes before I got there, and or after I got there. And he tells me, show up tomorrow, 8:30. And I'm like, cool. So I get there. I don't know what to expect. I meet with the art director, and he's like, cool, like, you know, do you have any experience? I'm like, no, I'm brand new. He goes, that's fine. You know, you're just production stuff that you have to do. So I go sit down, and he kind of gives me the breakdown of what I have to do. And it was pretty much a day trial. It was to see if I could keep up. It was an advertising agency. So, you know, they had me do a few things, like a few resizes of posters. I think it was like a mailer and something else. And at the end of the day, the creative director, she walked by and she looked at the other art director, and he goes, yeah, he's good. Tell him to come back. So she's like, hey, we'll see you again, you know, tomorrow. And I'm like, sweet, like this is awesome. I was on a high, you know, I was getting paid $10 an hour. I'm like, yes, like hell yeah.
Dude,
like,
nice.
I did it. Right. And so I did that for about 2 weeks. And then that was during Christmas vacation. The designer came back, and then they're like, hey, we'll let you know if anything else opens up. So I went about a month without a job, and we were finishing up school. And then I get a call back, and they're like, hey, we need you. You know, when can you work? And I'm like, well, I could work these times because I have school at this time, and blah, blah, blah. They're like, cool. So I started working with them full time. And then after graduation, I was 100% full time. I even got a bump in pay. They bumped it up to $13 an hour, and I was just beyond stoked.
Nice.
I'm like, yes, this is the shit, you know. And I was getting a lot of overtime because I was hourly. And at that time, one of my very first big projects was helping rebrand the Luxor. When there was the tagline was "Get your Lux on," and I remember just working so many hours, and that working at an agency for me just fueled that passion of being able to do so many things. So I was working on a mailer, I was working on an e-blast, I was working on a big file formatting, I was working on something digital, like I was helping with the photo shoots, I was helping with videography. So it was everywhere, you know, doing something or seeing it. Then I'm like, cool, how do I get to do that stuff? So I was there for close to a year. But then within that year, I want to say around 8 months, it's when I noticed that we were being taken advantage of a lot, you know, as a production designer. So it was myself and 2 other friends. We were the production crew, and, you know, the ADs would leave, the CDs would leave, the account people would leave. And I remember staying there till like 12:30 resizing stuff because it needed to get done for the next day, but it wasn't given to us until like midday. Right. So, you know, those hours are vital. And it was just kind of like, okay, man, like we're kind of being taken advantage of. Like, this is cool and it's fun because everyone would leave and we turn the music on and we would have like some whiskey, so it was more chill environment. I didn't have kids at the time, so
you guys were making the best of it. Pretty much.
Yeah, definitely. And there was cool lights in the office, and we turned the lights up, so it was kind of like a little club and just hang out. And I was hanging out with my friends and build that relationship. But I just didn't like how much advantage of us they were taking, and it was just like too much for what they were paying us. It wasn't worth it for me. So as much fun as I was having there, what my old teacher told me that I still use to this day, he said, you have to make 2 of the 3 things. You either have to be learning, making money, or having fun. I was having fun, I was learning, but I wasn't making any money. And I'm like, okay. But then after a while, it was just the same shit over and over, and just staying late every single day. Yeah, we're getting paid, but it wasn't fun anymore.
That bag of chip, too. Yeah. That bag of chip gets stale if it's left open for a long time.
Exactly. And also too, like, the leadership would kind of be a little bit of an asshole every now and then. And it rubbed me the wrong way. Being from the military, have my military background, I'm like, I'm not gonna take shit from these guys that fucking think they're all high and mighty when, like, you're not, man. Like, it's designed. There's no need to fucking trip out. There's no need to yell for this. Like, no one's dying.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then I saw something online for this other company, and it was a WordPress design company. I applied. They liked my resume. They're like, they offered me a job within a week. Bam, I took it. I didn't realize it was at this dude's house. It was a startup. I'm like, cool,
I think we all interviewed for that.
Right?
Yeah, I did interview for that.
Yeah,
I did too.
So, I was like, okay, cool, like, whatever. He told me he sold me the world kind of thing, and I was like, awesome. I need a job, period. I need to get it out where I'm at. So I started there, and I started doing all this web stuff, whatever, learned it, knocked it out super quick. One thing that I learned, and you guys know, I'm obsessed with what we do. So if I wasn't working, I was at home, and I was learning more and more and trying to learn a new skill set, and like learning everything that I possibly could. Because in my eyes, I started my career later in life, and I felt like I needed to catch up.
Okay.
When I lost in 10 years. Like, I need to be there now. So then I end up knocking out a month worth of work in about 2 weeks. And I'm just kind of sitting there on my ass. And I needed more money. And at the time, too, I was painting football fields with, like, the school logos and for homecoming. That was my, like, side hustle. I was charging $300 to $400 for me to go out there and just do the logo on the middle of the football field, paint the end zones, and I'm out the door. Right? It'd take me like 6 hours. And
I remember you almost got me in with you. Yeah.
And I was done with my work, and I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna go to work today. I don't feel good. And he's like, okay, cool. And when the whole time, I had to go spray paint this football field. Then somehow he finds out, or I tell him, I can't remember what it was. But he's like, you said you were sick, but you went to go work somewhere else. And I'm like, well, yeah, I need more money. Like, he was paying me like $14 an hour, and I needed more.
We all have bills.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I was like, it's a little side hustle. I had nothing to do. He's like, well, what about this? I'm like, that's been out and with the client. He's like, what about this? I'm like, that's been out too. So, that kind of got a little riff at work, and then just kind of ignored it. But then he also wanted me to stop freelancing. He's like, you're taking money away from the company. And I'm like, well, I'm doing club flyers at the time. Right. So I had bet with another designer who kind of would throw me a bone here and there. And so I would do some club stuff. And he's like, well, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm like, you guys don't do any club stuff. All your stuff is like e-commerce WordPress sites. Like, why? Coffee. I'm not a competitor for that. He's like, well, it doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. We got in a heated argument. The next day I show up, no one's there. He's in the backyard. He's like, hey, come talk to me. And he's like, I've talked to some friends, talked to some family, and I think it's best if we go our separate ways. And I'm like, okay, where's my check? And he goes, I'm like, Nevada state law, if you fire me, I can demand my last check on site, or within the next 3 days, I need my check. And he goes, okay, hold on. He come my check. And I remember going to the bar, and I was like, whatever, man. Like, I just lost my job. Like, fuck it. I just need to have a beer. And then I think 2 weeks later, I got, actually, no, I think this is from Ryan from the Art Institute. I got the lead for Mark Savard, which, Martin, I remember you also interviewed. And it was, the first part of it was just come check out the show. Check out the show. If you like it, then we'll have an interview.
Yeah.
So I go check out the show. I think it's hilarious. I think it's awesome. Honestly, to this day, Mark Savard is one of my good friends. I text him all the time. I just did an artwork for him like 3 months ago.
Nice.
But I meet with him after the show, and he's like, yeah, yesterday I met with a guy named Martin. I go, Bautista. And he goes, yeah, do you know him? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, he's a good designer, but I'm way better. And like, he right there, that line, he loved that line. So he said, I'll see you tomorrow for your interview.
That would have been my job, you fucking asshole.
Should have said that, Martin. You should have said that.
Should have said that. Man, Pete, fuck that guy.
So I go there, I interview. He likes what I do. And, you know, the vibe is great. So I get the job right away. And one of the other directors, she told me that. She goes, you know why you got the job over the other guy? And I'm like, why? And she's like, because of the line that you told him last night, or the night that you guys met, that the other designer was good, but you were better. Like, he enjoyed that. And I was like, well, I mean, it's true. You know, it's true. And so then I started there as a senior designer, and I got bumped up to an art director. I wasn't really directing anyone. I mean, I would help with the AV guys, but it was basically me. Had my own office. I thought it was great. Some stuff happened with his accounting. His accounting person did some shit to his accounts. And
typical casino stuff.
Unfortunately, he had to close. Like, it was, I only got to work there less than a year. And it was sudden. All of a sudden, it was just like, hey guys, some bookkeeping stuff happened. The guy pretty much stole from him, or the girl stole from him, and like, he couldn't recover unless he let everyone go. So
did you have any cool perks with that job?
Yeah, I actually got I had a company vehicle. I had a smart car. You know, a fuel, fuel was paid for, insurance was paid for.
Completely wrapped.
Nice.
Yeah, completely wrapped. It was advertised. It was funny as hell, because I would always joke that you had to push it back to wind it up, and then it would just go. But man, I love that little car. That perk was awesome. You know, I went to go see a show many a times too, and actually part of that show, I did a pilot for a reality series that never went to the next step, but it was called the B Celebrities of Las Vegas, and it highlighted like Mark Savard and a few other entertainers here in town of what life is behind the scenes. You know, when you're not performing, when you're not on the strip. And I remember them like shooting me. And they're in my office, and I was like, okay, so like, what do you want me to do? They're like, oh, just pretend like you're busy and you're moving stuff. So I had my laptop on my left side, and I had my monitor on my right. So all I was doing was just like smashing the keyboard and moving my mouse, and then I would like roll to the other side and grab my laptop and again type, like just button smash, and then just pretend like I'm transferring files. Funniest shit ever, man. And then they grabbed a couple clips. Never got to see it, but it was fun. And then so shortly there, we all got let go, and I want to say it was like a couple months later, I saw the posting for Tropicana, and it just said graphic designer. So I applied, got the interview, and at first I thought Anna was the like art director. And so when they were interviewing me, I was like, okay, so like, who do I report to? And she's like, me. And I'm like, so are you a graphic designer? And she's like, she laughed. She's like, no, I'm the marketing director. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, so what's the position? And she's like, this is for a senior graphic designer. And I was like, well, I mean, I was an art director, sure, but I wasn't doing like what I would be doing here. And she's like, do you know how to do this, 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 and this? And I'm like, yeah, of course I do. You know,
Big head like this. Yeah, great. I know how to do that.
I knew a little bit, but I didn't like know.
Sure.
So when like they're saying all this stuff, and then they're like, okay, you're gonna go on to the next part of the next interview. I remember going home and just YouTubing and reading every textbook that I had just to try to catch up on everything that they just told me. I'm like, okay, I need to study this so I know what the fuck I'm doing. And then, I get the offer letter, and I had my third interview, and they offered me the position. They asked me how much, and I said 40,000. And then Fred looked at me and he goes, "I'll give you 45." And I said, "Hell yeah!" And I was just stoked right there. Shook my hand, and I'm like,
"Dude, hell yeah!"
Oh, I'm rolling, man. Like this, I made it.
Yeah.
And then the designers that were there, they had left. Like it was loyalty to the previous designer. So wherever the previous designer went to, the other designers followed. They're like they wanted to balance and be with her. And I remember talking to the junior, and I go, "Hey, if you give me a shot, I can make this place pretty cool. Just, I know you're loyal to the previous designer, but if you want to stay, I'm sure we can create some cool shit." Not even a week later, she left. So right there, that's when Anna told me, "Hey, you get to put together your own design team. I have to approve it and everything, but you get to put everything together." And right there, boom, the seed was planted, and I was able to build the dream team. And that's my road trip to Tropicana.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's dope, bro. Nice.
Good story.
Yeah, definitely.
Good journey.
I would have liked to hear a little bit of your struggles. You didn't mention any struggles there, but
I was waiting for you guys to ask questions too, because I'm just telling my story.
So. I was so into it, bro. I was just like listening.
I know
to you,
it's a good story.
It's a good story, man.
You did.
It's a good journey.
Outline some of the struggles that you had, though.
Mm-hmm.
The struggles you had at the first company.
Getting fired, seeing being taken advantage of, being overworked. Like that part sucks, and then also jumping ship, and did I leave bad blood at the previous place? You don't want to. And working at an agency is amazing. If every student can work the first time at an agency, it opens up your eyes of like, it's almost a highway entrance to which direction do you actually want to go with your career, because you get a taste of everything. You get a taste of package design. You get a taste of, large format, big campaigns, exposed to video, exposed to direction, just a bunch of stuff. And
so
it's like,
specific branded stuff or like in-house.
Yeah, in-house stuff. Or, you could work on multiple brands, and that's awesome too, because some designers are good at one-time things for one brand, but hate doing like in-house work, like what we do for Tropicana or IGT or Review Journal, that kind of stuff. It gets just kind of lame.
So here's a question for you guys. Do you guys feel like internships should be mandatory in our field?
Yes. Yes, 100%.
They're not doing that.
They gave me the
They're not doing that
I
anymore. They're not. I don't feel like they are. I might be wrong, but from what I heard, that it's a little harder for a student to request an internship for a credit. And I don't want to say maybe because the school's not getting paid. I don't know if we
got credits for our internships.
No, but
we still had to take it.
But it was mandatory.
We still had to take our internships, but it was mandatory, but I don't think we got credit for it. It was just like, you have to have an internship. You have to do some work somewhere.
You got it was credits. You had to get like 99 hours to get a credit for the internship.
I think so, Sly.
Yeah.
I think it was a credit.
No,
I just don't remember.
I do think you should have an internship, because it allows you to make mistakes, to learn, and to see, if it's something you really want to do. But that internship should be paid. So especially nowadays.
Oh, I was going to ask you, it should be paid?
Yes, it should be paid, but even back in those time frames, because even as a struggling artist, as a college student,
Mm-hmm.
You still want to eat, man. You know, you got gas you got to pay for. You have, even if it's a small bill, it's still a bill that you need to pay for, and everyone deserves to be paid for what they work on.
Exactly.
Period.
Yeah.
Good.
I hear
So
you.
I've been doing
I
that.
do believe,
I believe that.
I believe that yes, you do need to have an internship, but that internship should be paid. Now, it shouldn't be paid what a, you know, senior designer, junior designer makes, but, you know, hourly
Minimum.
and not go minimum wage, but
I can see that.
not take advantage of the intern,
Okay.
right? So if my intern is supposed to be from 9 to 5, hey, show up at 9 and leave at 5. I don't need you
Yeah.
here at 8:30. I don't need you here at 5:30.
Right.
Show up for what you're paid for. Learn on the job. Keep learning on the job. Ask a shit ton of questions if you know it, because I will get more mad if you don't ask questions and you tell me you know what you're doing and then you fuck it up.
Yep.
Than if you say, hey, I don't know what this is. Okay, gotcha. Let's sit down and let's talk.
Which is the point of an internship.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? Because I remember, I mean, being a junior at the agency and my art director coming to me and saying, hey, you got to make this as a stroke in Photoshop. And I go, I don't know how to do that. And he goes, oh, you don't? I'm like, no, I have no idea how to make a stroke in Photoshop. I know how to do it in Illustrator, not in Photoshop. And he showed me, and I've never forgotten that whatsoever. And I remember inverting something in Photoshop, and he goes, oh shit, how'd you do that? And I'm like, oh, you didn't know how to do this? And he goes, no. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I taught you something.
Nice.
Like, I don't know if he got offended by it, but he kind of looked at me weird. I'm like, oh no, I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, that right there also made me think, like, even if I get to at the level that I'm at now, it doesn't mean that I can't learn from a junior whatsoever,
Oh, yeah,
or
for
an
sure.
intern, because there's always something that you could be taught. Period.
Especially
As long
for
as
them
you
coming in school.
Yeah. Like, you should always be open to learn new stuff. You should always want to learn new stuff. But I know I'm obsessed with what I do, so it's slightly different for me.
Yeah.
Cool.
How about you, Martin? What's your story?
So when I was in college, I had 2 jobs.
Yours is a lot different than ours.
Yeah.
He's like,
Completely
I
different.
remember it was dark in my mother's room.
Yeah. And then I saw the light.
And they were flashing a light on
light. I had a front desk job, so I actually paid pretty well. It was like $18 an hour, 19.
You had that job
Right
after,
out of college?
No,
right out of college?
while I was going.
You had that while you were in school.
While I was in school, I was working. I was doing both. So
Gotcha. Okay.
So school for me was really hard because I would go to school, and then right after school, I didn't even have time to go home and chill. I just get ready, have my uniform in the car, change up, go to work, get off at 12, do it again the next day. Or how many times? Yeah, I was a full-time student, so I did it like 2-3 times out of the week, maybe 4. So I already had the job, but I had to do an internship. So I really didn't really care what internship I got. I just wanted an internship. So I ended up working at a t-shirt company. And
The same one as Sly?
No, it was a different one. This one was I don't want to say the name because
was it in a mall?
don't say it.
Yeah, some bad blood in there, but it was a company behind like the casino areas. You know where we used to rock climb? Around that area. Literally the street where we used to rock climb. The climbing gym.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha,
so literally
shout out to Refuge.
Refuge, yeah.
Yep.
Dope ass climbing gym. It was there. The owner was like a little young. He was pretty cool at first. And we were just doing t-shirt designs, and he also did car wraps. So I did do a car wrap that was really cool, and the guy wanted it to be tribal. So I was into tribal at that time. You guys remember back
Right
then?
up your alley.
Yeah. So I did a really cool like fire tribal design with skulls inside, and he put it on like a trailer or something. And that was a lot of fun. And after I was done with my internship, the guy was like, I like your work. I want you to stay on. I'll pay you like minimum wage. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll stay on. And then I got to work with my friend there too. So my 2 friends, do you guys remember Jason?
You don't have friends. Just kidding.
Jason the Crew. You guys remember Jason?
Yep.
Yeah, the crew.
Yeah.
He worked for, he was a photographer for Red Bull.
I think, yeah.
The whole
I
time.
think he's the one that got
Yeah.
me into that job. And then I worked, I think my
Cool guy, really cool guy.
my buddy Nick was working there too. I don't remember his last name, but so we were all there. So it was a lot. It was actually
Anderson.
Nick Anderson. Yeah. it was fun.
Who Marine Corps?
Yeah, we had a lot of fun there. So when the guy was like, "Yeah, I'll hire you on," and after I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." And so then now I had and I only worked there a couple of times a week because I had my front desk job at college, and then I had this internship, and I was in the internship so I could learn. And
But they were paying you.
yes, they were paying me.
Yeah.
So it was a little shady though, because I remember working on some business cards, and then the owner, sent me the information, and I told him straight up. I was like, "Did you revise the copy before I work on this? Before I print it? Before I design it?" He's like, "Yeah, just do it. Go ahead and do it." I'm like, "Are you sure?" Yeah, just do it, bro. Just get it done. Just get it done. The client wants it. We're gonna make some money off this." So I'm like, "All right." I designed the card. Goes back to the client. The client's like, "Yo, you misspelled this stuff," but this guy didn't send it for approval. I gave it to him. He printed it.
Yeah.
And then after it was printed, the client was like, "This is misspelled," or "This is an error here and there." And then the guy comes to me and he's like, "Yo, you made a mistake." I'm like, "I made a mistake? Design-wise? Like, did I mess up the design?" And he's like, "No, you misspelled this." And I'm like, "But..." And then I was like, "Oh, shit, my bad," So I looked at it and I'm like, "No, this is what you gave me." And I literally asked you, "Did you get it approved? Did you revise it? Did you make sure everything was okay?" And you said, "No, go for it." And he was like, "Yeah, but you made the mistake, so you're gonna have to pay for it." I was like, "I'm not gonna pay for that, bro. You can't make me pay for that. Like, you didn't revise it, and I have it here in the email." And then he was like, "All right, don't worry about it. You're good. Like, it's fine." Blah blah blah. So he was giving me shit. So then I did the edit, sent it back, and everything was good.
This is the internship still?
No, this was just like now paid.
Okay,
so that's when stuff starts getting a little like, I get my paycheck, and then he gives me the check, and it's for some bank. And then I'm like, I'm going to go to that bank, and I'm going to make sure it has funds.
Cash that real quick.
Because I was already talking to, like, the people in the other departments, like the guy who was printing shirts, and then the other guys, and one of the directors that were there, or the salespeople. Like, he was a cool cat, like, super cool guy. Like, imagine, like, old school California, like, Cholo vibes, but, like, super down to earth. Like, "Hey, what's up, Holmes?" This and that. Like, super cool. And then he was always mad, and I was just, one time I talked to him, like, "Bro, why are you always mad? Like, this is a cool place." And he's like, "Because this motherfucker don't pay me. Because I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting paid. I'm getting paid." And I was like, "Oh." So then my light bulb got up, and I was like, "All right, cool. I'm gonna take this to a bank." I give it to the teller, and the teller's like, "Sorry, there's no funds in here." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. Take it back."
Oh man.
So I take it back to the guy, and I'm like, "Yo." I took it to the bank. They said there was no funds. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, dude. Like, some stuff's getting moved around, and it's probably because of that. And it's like, I'll just write you a new one and just, like, go take it,
Just give me 3 days. The way my bank account works,
pretty much, yeah. So I waited, like,
my savings to my checkings.
And it was, like, a good amount of money, like, $100, $200 or whatever it was. So, like, it was a chunk of money. So
yeah, money is money, man.
Money's money, right? And I'm, So I go back to the bank and I do the same thing, and the lady, it was the same girl, and she, like, really sad face. She's like, "I'm sorry." Like, I'm like, "All right, cool, it's all good, no worries." So I take it back.
So this is a different check the same day?
No, like 3 days later.
Okay.
Yeah. So then
second check.
So I go back to him, and I'm like, "Dude, there's no funds in here." And he's like, "Bro, just deposit it. Just deposit it. Like, why are you making it such a big deal?" I'm like, "Because there's no funds in there." I'm like, "I'm not gonna deposit that shit. They're gonna charge me. You give me a check with no funds, and then you're gonna make them charge me?" I'm like, "No."
Sorry, I'm too young for checks. So what happens?
So my bad for the young viewers. Back in the day, if you
I'm too young for this.
Oh, damn, Sly, you're too young for that. So back in the day,
you for real?
Yeah,
seriously, I've never.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
This is all brand new to me. I'm like, okay. I mean, I've cashed checks before, but I've never had to, like...
In his defense, Pete, I've never experienced that, writing a bad check, because I think that when I was already active doing that stuff, like, the check thing kind of started changing to, like, digital. So
I was going to say, because I saw my
like
mom
62.
doing checks. I saw my mom doing checks, but by the time I got into banking, it was already just a debit card. Like, almost nobody... Like, I got checks when I first opened my bank account, but I didn't write a single one.
So if you wrote a check to somebody and the check bounced, if it was like, if I gave it to Sly, I think both of us would get a fee of like $35 to $50.
Something like
something
that.
like
Yeah.
that. So that's why I was like, I'm not going to deposit this because it's going to bounce, and then my bank's going to charge me a fee for giving them a faulty check. Because the way the bank sees it is, oh, yo, you're trying to rip me off, but you know what? I'm going to dismiss it. I'm going to charge you a fee and call it a day. But that's what it looks like. So he did that, and then I was like, all right, cool, I'm done. And I didn't really need to work there. I was only working there because I wanted to learn, right? So I was like, I don't need this job. I have a good paying job, $18 an hour. I'm just doing this for my career. So I stopped. I quit there.
Did that place shut down?
I think so. I don't know. I didn't look into it afterwards. I know that the people that worked there were good, were really good people. The guy who did the shirts was super fast and like hard worker. So I just didn't keep tabs on it. I was like, whatever, you know. And like that's the worst part, man. Chasing your money that you earned is horrible. And if you're a business owner and you're like making people chase their money or not paying them on time, you're a piece of shit. I'm going fuck. You're a piece of shit. Okay.
Boom.
Yeah. You know.
All right.
So after that, I took a break and I just focused on school because again, I just had my apprentice job, graduated, and then after graduation, a lot of designers have this mentality, or they did back then, I don't know now, that like, oh yeah, I'm going to graduate, I'm going to make like $50,000 a year, blah, 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 blah. We had that mentality, and I had that mentality too. I was like, oh cool, once I graduate, I'll find a job, I'll make really good money, I'll be fine. So you know what? I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take 3 months off, and I'm just going to chill because I deserve it. I've been going to school for 5 years, you know, whatever. Didn't focus on my craft. I was doing painting. I love Day of the Dead stuff. So at the time I was painting a lot of Day of the Day stuff. But I didn't do anything design. So then I took my break off, and then finally out of like 3 months, I was like, all right, cool, I'm ready to jump on. So
3 months after graduation, you decided you're going to get back into it.
I was like, all right, cool, it's time to go. Go ahead.
Is there something that sparked it, or is it just bam, like that's ready to go? Like, did something happen for you to say, hey, it's time for me to get back into this?
Not sure, but it might have been like I was doing my paintings and they were taking me a while, like 8 hours, and somebody in my family at the time, or it might have been the girl that I was dating at the time, might have said like, whoa, you spent like 8 hours on that painting, and I gave it for donation. I gave it out. A friend on my side, and my buddy was like, yo, I need paintings for donations. You want to donate your painting? I was like, yeah, sure. Like, it wasn't about the money for me. I just wanted to paint and, you know, be active. So then I just gave it to him, and he like raised like $50, $100 for it. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. And then my partner at the time was like, you spent 8 hours on that, you only made like $100. And then I saw like her energy kind of like, what she really told me was like, you went to school for all this time and you're not doing anything. That's how I took it. So I was like, all right, cool.
Oh, okay.
Trying to focus on design. And then, you know, we know a lot of people that, not even in our industry, just anywhere, a lot of people that go to college, they do their course, they finish, they graduate in the course, and then they don't do anything with it, right? So then that started to like kind of hit me like, oh man, I don't want to be one of those people that like go to spend all this money.
Statistic.
Yeah, I don't want to be that. So it's time for me to jump on board. And I was excited. And then I was like on social media. And then our buddy, Jordan Kabalka, he sent out a post. He was working at Brand at that time. He sent out a post on Facebook. And my mentality has always been this. Like, if I'm going to gain knowledge, I don't care if I get paid. Not anymore, obviously. But at that time, I was like, you know what? Because the post...
I got bills.
So your old mentality.
Yeah, my old mentality.
Before I had a wife and a mortgage, I said...
Yeah, pretty much. So
I don't need to eat.
Jordan's post was, we have an internship at Brand. It's not paid, but you'll learn or something like that. And I was like, yo, let me jump on that. Like, I don't care if I get paid or not. And Jordan's response...
Because you still have that other job.
Yeah, I still have that other job.
Because you're still working the other job. So you don't really...
So I didn't really need to work. Like, I didn't really need money because I had a good paying job at that time. Yeah. This was like, 2012, $18, $20 an hour was really, really good. So that's why I tell him, like, I don't care, bro. Like, I'll take it for free. And he was like, no, you're graduated already. You should get paid. Awesome. And I was like, sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, you should have.
So he said, like, come in for an interview and we'll talk to you. So I went down there. I talked to like 2 people there, and they were like, yeah, we'll hire you. So then I started working there like maybe 2-3 times a week. I would work again from 8 a.m. to like 4 p.m. And then after 4, I would go work at Excalibur, and I think it was like 5 to 1, and then do it again the next day.
Damn.
Yeah, it was like, I always thought that I was like, I didn't do enough. But now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, damn, I had a job and I went to college, and then I had 2 jobs, design job and then a regular job, 8 hours. And I never really called in on my other job often.
Yeah, having a full-time job and going to school full-time, that's a lot, man.
Mhm.
It's definitely a lot.
And that's why, like, I feel like through college, I was not great. I was not bad. I was always in the middle, and I never really got past the middle. I was always there. But I was okay with it because I was aware that I was doing this and that. So I couldn't give it 100% focus, and I really felt like that was my weakness. But at Brandon,
do you feel like if you could go back, would you give it 100%? If you could go back,
I don't think I could afford it. Really, in reality, like, yeah, I couldn't be. I wouldn't be able to just.
you were living on your own.
I was living with the girlfriend at the time, so we had bills, we had to pay rent.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I could do it.
Pete, were you living with your parents in college?
Part of it I was, and then I had roommates at one point. So, yeah, no, I think
so you needed to pay bills.
When I first started, yeah, when I first started, I think I was still living at home, and then I moved out. So, yeah, no, I had bills to pay.
Yeah,
I had a roommate, so it wasn't like a lot, but
yeah,
I still had to pay some bills.
But no, Brandon was like fun, dude. It was dope. That's where I met. I got to work with Jordan. Jordan's super dope, super chill, bro. He's so quiet. He was always just like over there on the other side across me, super quiet, just focus on his work, never really talk. And then even the guy that was across, Danny, you know Danny, right? Danny Figueroa, Sly. Danny
sounds familiar.
He's a web designer, super cool guy.
Danny Figueroa.
Even when they were talking, Jordan would like be super like, yeah, cool, man. And then also my creative director there was Dan McAhan. If I said that,
shout out to Dan.
Dude, that guy. Whew, I got to work with him for like a couple months, and just seeing the way his mind works. And we had this one project where it was for like an art exhibition. Yeah, I think it was like Van Gogh or something fancy like that. And he went from like just looking at the creative that was already done and was just looking at it, and his gears were turning, and he's like, I got it. We're going to add this like onion paper to it, like write an insert. And he did it, and it came out super cool. It was so like
this is for an invite.
Awesome. Yeah, it's an invite for like a
gotcha.
Like a high end art exhibit. I don't remember what it was, and I was like, wow, like I really wanted to work there. I wanted to be hired, and I was hoping that they would have hired me. But I think I was there for almost like 3 months, and right away the Art Institute hit me up, and they were like, hey, we found a job that might work out for you if you're not working. And I was like, sure, I'll go interview for it. So then I went, got the interview, and they hired me. And this was Drex Agency, so I had to leave Brand. And then I started working at Drex Agency. And
sorry, you say Drex, were they paying you or they weren't paying you?
Yeah, Drex was paying. This was a paying job.
So why did you
Brand?
No, Brand. Brand was paying me. Brand wasn't a full-time gig. It was like it was just like a seasonal. It was just more hey, we need somebody to help us like work with this resizes or like small jobs.
And you wanted full-time.
Yeah, I wanted it full-time. I wanted to work with them because it was a good place to work with. But there's a reason why maybe, the universe or whoever like didn't offer me that position, because Brand had it like, I think they closed down afterwards. Because, again, somebody was stealing from the company. And the person that was stealing from this company was, like, this old lady. She was, like, a sweet old lady, bro. She was, like, 82 years old or something like that. And
she was trying to fill that bank account.
Yeah, man. And, like, I should have known when she kept talking about, like, she would have all these, like, crab leg, like, barbecues at her house, like, fancy barbecues and all these lavish, like, dinners. And I was just like, okay, cool. So it all made sense.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
Okay.
So
you get this full-time job.
So I get this full-time. Well, it was seasonal full-time. at Drex Agency, and
Okay.
super.
And you're still holding down your.
I'm still learning
other
Excalibur,
job.
bro. I'm still Excalibur, going strong. And Drex was super cool on paper, bro. Like, we are the team that got in there. Like, we redesigned all the Caesar's Palace websites on the strip, all of them, and
That's
the
cool.
properties that they own in some other state. So on paper, it looked good, and the owners were super cool, super nice people. But the job itself was literally copy paste. We copy pasted everything. We uploaded images. There was no design. There was nothing about design, like, cutting out pictures, adding elements. There was nothing. It was none of that. It was just copy paste.
It was all production.
It's all production. So I stayed in there for like a couple months. I think maybe 3 months, and then it started to slow down. So some other people weren't getting hours, and I was getting a lot of hours, and then I was going through some personal stuff during that time, and I just wasn't there anymore. My personal stuff, just like the fact that I wasn't learning anything, and my personal stuff that I was going through, and then the other people that actually needed hours because they didn't have a second job like I did, I was like, you know what? I don't need to be here. So and so needs the hours, and I talked to the owner. I was like, hey, I was working one day, and I was just like, I'm out. I don't want to be here. So I just went and I was like, hey, I got to talk to you. He's like, oh, hey, what's up? I'm like, I'm quitting. And he's surprised, like, whoa, why? And I was like, well, the work's slowing down. You guys aren't going to hire us afterwards. And
you got single ply paper, toilet paper. It's just terrible.
Pretty much. But no, they were great. They were awesome. Like the owners, like the opportunity they gave us there, like I can't say anything bad about them. They're super cool. Like we had a Christmas party and like it was awesome. Like the small team, they gave us gifts and everything. Like good people, awesome people to work for.
Nice.
They hired us for a job, and that job wasn't what I wanted. I stuck in there. I did it. And the other people needed the money, and I didn't need it, and my heart wasn't there anymore. So I was like, man, I'm out, dude. And he's like, oh, wow. He was surprised, and I was like, okay, cool. So then after that, after Drex, I went through some personal issues. I went through like a really hard breakup, so I needed some time away from everything. So after my breakup, I took a 3-month vacation to Cancun to find myself, and I did. Oh, but during that time, before Cancun, and while I was working at Drex, me and 3 buddies, I won't say names, tried to start a t-shirt company. How many of us tried doing that? How many of us did that?
I tried doing that in high school.
Yeah.
I never tried that at all.
We got pretty far, dude.
Tried multiple times.
We got pretty far. We did the LLC. So I got a good experience from that.
Oh, nice. Okay.
We did the LLC. We got that down. They gave us a stamp and everything. We got the inventory of the shirts. And then we didn't get down to designs because one of our...
Were you trying to make your own brand or like print for other people?
No, we're trying to make our own brand with our own designs.
You were trying to make your own brand. Okay. Just clarifying.
Yeah, like business owner number 1 ended up needing to work and needed money, and something came up and it was very good for him. So he was like, out of nowhere, he's like, I'm out. And it kind of messed us up. But it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went through my breakup, and I was just like, told the other dude, I was like, my head's not in it, bro. I can't right now. I need to just take a breather. And the other business owner was just, after that, I get it. He was just like, I'm done. I don't want to do anything with this. Like, I don't want to, he was like just heartbroken, and I get it. But my head wasn't there. I need to take care of, sometimes we just need to take care of ourselves, right? And we got to stop, and we got to take care of our inner self, and then bounce back. And that's what I did. I took a break, went to Cancun. I've met great people out there. I made like a brand new family, and when I came back, my brain just was different.
Yeah,
I came back, and the first thing I did is to contact my other business partner for the t-shirts, and I was like, yo, I'm on board 100%. I'm gonna fucking design. That's my path. That's what I'm going to do. And that's what I want. And I'm going to get it. And he just wasn't in it anymore. He's like, nah, bro.
So I just want to go back to, you took 3 months off, right? You went to Cancun.
No.
Did you have a job?
No. So I graduated, took 3 months off, worked at brand.
No, I'm saying now when you're talking about going to Cancun.
Yeah.
How long were you in Cancun?
I was there for 3 months. And then I came back.
Did you have a job?
Yeah, but my job was aware of the situation I was in, and
So they gave you 3 months off?
Yeah, bro. I straight up told him, like, my mental health ain't there right now. I need a mental health. I need to get out of here.
Casino gave you 3 months off.
Bro, when you say I'm going through a mental crisis, I'm going through a mental issue right now, I can't be here, the casino or any company has to listen to you.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm flabbergasted
Really?
that a casino gave you 3 months off.
Yeah,
Because they don't.
Yeah,
They're like, you missed yesterday, you're fired.
Yeah, but I was also in that casino for like a long time. By this time, it would have been like 10 years.
You were also friends with your boss, Carla.
No, and then also too the I think the fact that the person that I was dating and the person that I broke up with, we worked together. So that I think might put it in a different position where a company might be like, oh, completely understand what you're going through. Take some time off.
Got it. Okay.
Find yourself, right?
I'm just 3 months off and you still have a job.
Yeah, I'm flabbergasted by that too. But anyways, continue. 3 months.
So
you come back. He says, no, I'm good.
Yeah, he says, no, I'm good.
You're back in it.
He said, my heart's not in it. I'm like, cool, my bad. All right, cool. And then I was just like, I had a hammock at my mom's. That's where I was at the time. I was living at my mom's. And there was a hammock outside in the front yard. And I was just like swinging on the hammock. And then I'm like, let me check Facebook. And then, oh shit, Pete's offering a job. And I was like, you know what? I just want to freelance. Fuck it. Hey, Pete. Blah, 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 blah. Pete's like, yeah, sure, come in. And then there I am, talking to Pete. And you know what he tells me? Well, are we talking about that right now or the next one?
Yeah, we could go ahead.
So then I did the interview with Pete, and I tell him straight up what I go through, and then Pete makes the connection right away. He's like, your time away from our industry is like the amount of a year or two. Like, your shit, you probably don't know shit. I'm like, yeah, man. But I was so positive back then. Like, when I came back, dude, my energy was like off the roof. Super positive. Was ready to take on the world. And Pete was like,
yeah, you didn't do shit for 3 months.
I know, you were in Cancun.
Fuck up, man.
Yeah, you're in Cancun.
I remember when we were working together, I was like, oh, this is the best.
I'd find myself in Cancun for 3 months too, fool. Shit. I'd be like, I ain't going back, dude. I'm going to teach surfing or some shit.
So Pete was like, after our interview, he was like, look, man, I can't hire you, but I love your fucking energy and I love your fucking attitude. I know you're gonna suck and you probably don't know shit, but I'm gonna give you a shot. I just, something about you makes me feel like I want to give you a shot, so I'm gonna give you a shot. But you're not gonna be full time because I'm only allowed to have one designer and not supposed to hire two. You're not gonna be full time. You're gonna be part time, and you're gonna make this much. And I was like, all right, whatever. I don't care. I just want to learn. And then he's like, the other guy that I'm gonna hire is Sly, and I was like, that fucking weirdo that like painted with blood. What the fuck? I didn't tell him that, but I was like,
that's right.
I was like, that guy.
Hey, I was trying to win competition.
I forgot about the blood drive.
I was like, that blood guy got full time over me. What the fuck?
That's right. Yeah, his portfolio was stronger than yours.
Yeah, I don't, man. So that's pretty much my path. I had some struggles, like the chasing money. Like, I'm kind of glad I went through that because, But
you really didn't have to chase money because you had a good paying job. That was my main takeaway from this. Is like, but you had a great paying job, which I think, was great, but also it distracted you from design for so long.
Yeah, it did.
That maybe you could have started your career and been a better designer sooner.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Now, much sooner.
So here's the thing that I agree with completely from you. Whatever you said right now, like, I completely agree with that. But that's just to tell you that even when I didn't need the money, and I'm still chasing money, it really sucks to chase money. Yeah. Even if I was getting paid good money, I didn't really need the money, but it was my money. I earned it. I worked for it.
Yeah.
I should get it. I should have it. I shouldn't have to chase for it. And nobody should have to chase for money that they earn.
Would the current Martin Bautista hire the intern Martin Bautista at that time? Looking at your portfolio, like, remember your portfolio from whatever you interviewed with, and you're you now, would you hire you?
I think I would, because I wasn't that bad. I had potential, and I was
I don't think you were
yeah.
bad. I don't think you were bad at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have hired you.
And the thing is,
you
like,
definitely needed.
I'll go back to what you
I would
told
hire
me.
me as a production artist.
I'll go back to what you told me, Pete. I would hire me because of my attitude. Because I like was ready to. I was like super positive, and
Yes, you were.
So that I would rather work with somebody who's not like a great designer and amazing, but somebody who I could work with and have a conversation with while we're working and we get along and he's super cool, versus a designer who thinks there are designers that are artsy. Like they think they're awesome. They're God's gift to the design world. That's cool, bro. But in the end of the day, like
yeah, no, you have to check your attitude and your ego at the door.
Yeah.
Because you know,
sure.
if you're a brand new designer and you know you're applying for an internship or a junior designer, production designer, like check your ego at the door. One of the questions that I would always ask in the interview was, on a scale from 1 to 10, how well would you grade yourself in Photoshop and Illustrator? You know, and I that right there gave me the range of like what they thought they knew. You know, no one ever gave me a 10, but I got a lot of 9s, and then I would reply back with, "Oh wow, I don't think I'm a 9, and I'm the one interviewing you." And their look would change immediately, like, "Oh shit, like okay, maybe I'm a 7. I'm a 7."
Maybe I'm a 3.
It's like, you know, calling yourself a 9 in Photoshop, like you must know every shortcut, you must know every trick and trade inside that program. And it's been 14 years for me, and I say I'm still 7.5 with Photoshop. Yep. I know how to do what I do, but I'm still learning every new technique. You know, it's like, oh shit, that's how you do it.
There's so much in the program.
There's so many ways to do the same thing in Photoshop.
Yes, exactly. So to come in, you know, I get having an ego and you know, pumping yourself up. That's great, but you know, there's a cap to it. You can't just come in, especially telling someone who's been doing it for 14 years. Like, no, dude, like check your ego at the door. Like it's okay. You're brand new. You're green as fuck. You're gonna learn way more on the field than you will in school. But yeah,
I hear that.
Awesome, right. Awesome. What advice would you give to kids right now or college students that are looking for an internship? What advice would you guys give them? Mine again goes back to have a professional email address, have some kind of web presence. You know, a Behance portfolio is free. Sign up for it. If you want to use that as your website, go for it. Do it. It's a free domain to start that. I mean, even with Adobe, you know, you have your student subscription. You have a free Behance portfolio with that. Use it. Utilize the tools that you have. You don't have to spend an enormous amount of money to customize stuff. We get it as you're you know, new into the field. Do that. As a professional who's looking to change careers and you know you want to interview with people, you know, make sure your shit's squared away, make sure everything's aligned, make sure your spelling is correct, make sure that you know the people who are interviewing are, you know, between 29 and 42 now. So, you know, some of us still print out resumes. I know I do. If I'm interviewing, I'm still going to print out a resume. And if your resume prints out like shit on black and white or grayscale, I question that, you know. Have a current resume for sure too, though, and have every 6 months update your portfolio. This is just for me, my own personal advice, because again, how obsessed I am with what we do. Every 6 months, you should have a new piece in your portfolio. And if it's been a year, if it's been 2 years, and if you're listening to this and it's been 3 years and you haven't updated your portfolio, something's wrong, because no one's guaranteed, unless you own the company, you're not guaranteed a paycheck or a job the next day. You know, I've been there, you know, after Trop, and it's scary, but you know, it's also, to me, it shows how much I've grown, because that's right there also how you gauge yourself from college to where you're currently at. Every time you update your portfolio, you're kind of reinventing yourself, or you're evolving yourself. You see your style that you've grown, but also you see the artwork that you've done. If nothing has changed and you have the same pieces from college and you still have them there and it's been 5 years, something's wrong.
Yeah.
You're not learning, or you're just kind of going with the motion. And that's okay. You know, if you just want to be at the same job for 20 years, more power to you. But if you want to grow and be at that senior level and lead shoots and lead campaigns and you know, really set the way for design, you have to move that skill set up 100%, no matter what.
Yeah, for me, ask questions. If you're in an internship, ask questions. Ask the designer, like, hey, how do I do this and that? Just tell them, hey, what do you think about this? What could I do better? What would you do? And then just see how they're working. If you could get their files, if you're the designer that you're working with, like, is willing to share their files with you, analyze those files. Those files are a treasure trove of information. And I've learned from these two guys, and I learned a lot just by looking at their files. How did you do this? Don't get boxed in. Don't get boxed in.
Yeah.
You're a designer. Like, what I tell my junior all the time is, you're a problem solver. Figure it out. That's when my life as a designer changed. When these two fuckers right here were like, I went and asked them a question, and they were like, figure it out, bro. I'm not going to fucking walk you. I'm not going to hold your hand. You've been here a long time. Figure it out on your own. You're a designer. So as a junior or if you're doing your internship, figure stuff out if you can. If you can't ask the question and you don't have time to go ask somebody, try to figure it out on your own. Go on the internet, Google something real quick, find a tutorial, and then also just design advice. Outline your logos, please. Outline your logos, your font logos. Yeah.
Oh, like the life type logos?
Yeah.
If you do a logo, outline your fonts.
Yeah.
You should do some type editing to logos.
Yeah, you shouldn't
not just typing it.
You shouldn't just type it and then just send it.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
I forgot people.
Yeah, right. You open the file and it's just like,
hey, Adobe does not have this font, or your computer does not have this font. What?
Yeah.
Right. And you're using this as your logo? For me, you know, as far as internships, I would say, you know, I guess the best place to start is any of the companies that you follow here around town. You know, if they have some sort of design service, you know, reach out to them. Hey, are you looking for interns? Are you looking for interns? You know, do you know anybody who's looking for interns? You know, and if you can, do your internship in person. You know, I know there's a lot of work from home companies now. That's great and all, but sometimes it could be a
hindrance,
echo chamber, or, you know, there's a lot of lost communication in working from home versus working in person, because you can just hop over and ask that person, hey, can you help me out with this? Or, you know, can I see what you're working on, instead of like setting a meeting and all that sort of stuff. So those would be my two big things. You know, try to find something that's in person if you can, and just look at the companies that you like around where you're at.
Do you set up meetings with people, even though you're remote? Sometimes you're remote, like when you have to meet with them. I do
remote meetings. I do remote meetings, and I set it up, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this specific time, and then I have everything ready. I have my program loaded. I have the website. You know, whatever I need to walk them through. Okay, here's this.
Gotcha. Okay, no, I would just call people. If we're on Teams or Slack.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're on company hours, I'm calling you because I have a question.
Yeah, I do that
like,
too.
I can't reach out to you. I'm not gonna set up a meeting. I just literally call, and if they don't pick up, I'm like, where you at? You're supposed to be working.
Well, I can see that. Like, you could definitely call me, but if we're gonna do something where I'm like, you know, walking you through, you can Google Meet. You can just set up, just set up a meeting. Like, let's jump on a video call sort of thing. But if you call me, you know, maybe I am working. Maybe I'm like locked in, you know, designing something. Or if you send me a message, maybe I'm locked in. Oh, I saw that. It was 30 minutes ago. You sent me something. If it was really important, why didn't you like call me or like, you know, that sort of thing. So
gotcha. Cool. Awesome. Well,
Sweet,
that wraps
guys.
episode 2. You know, our journey to Tropicana.
Yeah.
This is fun. You know, we're gonna continue to do this. And we're gonna drop episodes every Wednesday or every Friday or whatever the schedule is when we upload this. But we have some stuff in the works for guests to come on here and talk about design and
can we say who our first guest is?
Give advice. And our first guest is Stan Lee. Not just kidding.
Back from the grave.
Back from the
The
grave.
magnificent Dan. I can't say his last name though. Sly?
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's McElhatton.
Mac.
Okay, so
Mac.
I hope.
Dan is the current AIGA president. Sorry, I'm a little buzzed now. And he is a teacher at CSN. And he is also our
Martin is a member of the AIGA board too. And he is, what's your title right now?
It's not solid yet, but it's going to be events. What's the name of that slide?
Latin events?
Let me check. Hold on. I got it right here. It's the
event coordinator, probably. I don't know. It's been a while.
Programming. Program. Oh, Sly? Do you have time to join AIGA, bro? You ain't got time for that. Not. No, why are you even asking? Why you gotta tease me like that, bro?
You got a baby, bro.
I can always help you. You know, give me a call.
I'm definitely gonna reach out to you guys when we do some of the events. But yeah, programming. I'm super excited. I can't wait to get out there and talk to designers and inspire them and just tell them, hey, come check out our podcast and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So that's we're looking forward to that guest. We have a lot of episodes going forward, a lot of subjects that we want to go over and talk about. And then just shooting the shit with our friends and just talking about creative and our journeys and just being honest with our 6 listeners that are listening right now.
If you hear this and you have something that you want us to discuss, reach out to us.
If you want to jump on and have a chat with us, let us know. If you're like, hey, this photographer I know is super cool, you need to interview him, let us know.
Yeah, go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section. We don't have a Room 250 podcast Instagram set up yet, but that'll be a different way to reach out to us coming soon. You could follow me at El Peralta Creative on Instagram. I don't know you guys if you want to share yours.
Mine's Cito Soy. That's just my personal account. I already don't put design stuff on.
I just have a personal one right now. I don't have a design one.
Yeah, that's why I just stayed quiet on that one. So I did that for a reason. I have my personal one for me. Don't follow me. I won't accept you. But feel free to follow my creative one.
My personal one's for me and my family and friends.
Same. Likewise. So if you're hearing this, don't follow it because I will not accept you. I will block you. But go ahead and
his Instagram handle is
is VegasPrime.com.
You can find him at.
No, awesome guys. This is great. Let's keep this going. It's fun conversation. And to everyone else, drop a comment, send us a message, and we'll just keep cranking away.
All right, awesome, guys.
All right, man.
Have a good one.
Good conversation. Talk to you guys later.